Hey guys, how you doing? I hope you're having a great day. Just to quickly say, very sorry about the break in my uploads over the last few months. There was a lot of stuff going on at home that needed to get sorted out. I moved house, had my honeymoon, my son started nursery, etc. As you can imagine, lots of personal stuff. And given that Superhero had just come out, it seemed like the right time to take a break whilst all that stuff got sorted. But anyway, thanks for sticking around in the meantime, and I hope you enjoy the future content because now the break is over. Anyway, on to today's video. The internet is currently ablaze with curiosity as Dragon Ball fans cling to hopes that leakers have reported in recent months. With the alleged announcement taking place sometime in late November or early December, likely in line with the release of Dragon Ball Super Superhero's home release on Blu-ray, we know that currently there are 4 new Dragon Ball projects in the pipeline, these being the continuation of Toyotaro's Dragon Ball Super manga, the next Dragon Ball Super movie, the Dragon Ball Super continuation TV series penciled in for 2023, and one highly anticipated web series that isn't Dragon Ball Heroes and allegedly isn't using the Dragon Ball Super moniker or branding. So what could it be? Well, let's take a look. So the TV series will be likely adapting Toyotaro's last couple of manga arcs into an anime, and then possibly retelling the last 2 movies in there as well. Then we have Toyotaro's latest manga arc that will have started, and potentially even finished by the time the TV series lands on our screens. That's 4 to 5 potential arcs of anime content to get the manga well ahead of the anime, in order to not have the anime production slip ahead again. That sounds good enough, right? Well, Toyotaro's manga will of course be continuing with the Black Frieza arc when that returns, which is likely what this break in the manga is for, ironing out plans for the direction of the story. The next Dragon Ball Super movie being in planning scripting was revealed prior to the release of Dragon Ball Super Superhero in cinemas, with another project apparently to be revealed later this year that wasn't the manga, wasn't Heroes, wasn't a game, or another movie. And now that we've found out that there's actually a web series in the planning stages, which is likely to be what the announcement is, given that this seems to be further into the planning stages than the TV series. Leakers have reported that this web series may have nothing to do with the Dragon Ball Super branding, which is interesting and has led to a lot of speculation about what it is. A lot of hopeful fans are generally wondering if it's a complete remake of the original Dragon Ball series and Dragon Ball Z, and if it's something entirely new, spin-offs in other universes, a Pride Trooper show, a Universe 6 show, maybe it's about the Ginyu Force. Don't look at me like that, I'd still watch it. However, what we do know is how many times in the past Toriyama has said he has no intention of treading on Dragon Ball GT's toes and going beyond the end of Z. Well, you know, which was nice and all of Toriyama, but he already broke a couple of feet within the first season of Dragon Ball Super. But as we get closer and closer to the end of Z, with Superhero almost figuratively being able to smell the end of Z from where it's standing, so much has happened in Super since its inception that it's destroyed GT's continuity, regardless of whether Toriyama intended to tread on its toes or not. Whoops. Anyway, bearing in mind that this web series is a Toei Animation project, and that Dragon Ball GT was an entirely Toei Animation project as well, bear the spaceship design and the main cast designs and a few of the planets in the initial few episodes of the show, Toei was still very fond of the characters that Nakatsuda had made for the show. Some of the plot lines and general ideas that it introduced were fantastic. Whilst Toei were painfully aware that GT failed from a financial perspective, and being cancelled 64 episodes and 1 movie in, the reception of some GT properties have remained amongst the fans in high regard, such as Super Saiyan 4, Teen Oob, Baby, the Shadow Dragons, even Super 17. All many things that people still fondly remember. The execution of these ideas, however, is what failed it. GT was effectively dead on its feet from entry, killing off the excited eyes that followed Dragon Ball Z. It followed the tenacity of the final fight with Kid Buu in Dragon Ball Z, and having had the 2 previous Dragon Ball Z movies that came out be absolute bangers with Fusion Reborn and Wrath of the Dragon, Dragon Ball GT started off by reverting Goku to his youth, and removing fan favourites from the cast and sending some established characters off into space to gather Dragon Balls for a very, very slow moving arc, with a feeling of little to no threat. Yeah, sure, the Earth was going to be destroyed, but then they'd just go to Namek and wish it back. There was no real peril there. By the time that Toei had realised that they needed to fix this issue by injecting Baby, Super 17 and the Shadow Dragons into the plot, the damage has been done and it was too late. GT certainly did what it set out to do, which was to try and change the formula and take it back to its adventurous roots. However, that wasn't what the main audience wanted at the time. I know a lot of people really did enjoy the Black Star Dragon Ball arc. You can't deny that the majority of the audience were high off the heels of Kid Buu, and they wanted more of that. Then you flash forward to Super's inception, and the show made some mistakes in retelling the last 2 movies with worse animation, and didn't start to really pick up again until the Universe 6 arc began. But it really didn't pop off until the Zamasu arc. This is what sent it into the stratosphere. Really, this just showed that the nitty-gritty Dragon Ball stories are what people wanted and the general populace were after when they tuned into Dragon Ball. Toei, now being fully aware of what works and what doesn't when attempting to follow the heights of Dragon Ball Z, have had great opportunities and have a great opportunity to revive some of the great plot points of Dragon Ball GT, and not having to worry about waiting for a future material to cover, like a manga for instance, and effectively not worrying about what Super does in terms of retconning it. And you can do this by rebooting Dragon Ball GT with clear indication that the show is taking some of the events of Super into consideration and heading in its own direction. Super Dragon Ball GT. Now I know the web series claim not to use the Dragon Ball Super moniker, but just sticking the word Super in it isn't the same thing. What I'm basically saying when they're saying that is that it's not another Dragon Ball Super project necessarily. This is something different. Super Dragon Ball GT would basically just be GT, but with the events of Super having taken place before it. Just imagine what they could do with this. Here's my story pitch, and if you like it, let me know and maybe I'll continue it for a while with some nice artwork, etc. You can confirm and set GT as an alternate universe once more, but you kick it off from Android 17's wish being made in restoring the erased universes. Super Dragon Ball GT starts off with Supreme Kai and Old Kai feeling an overwhelming urge to check the box of time rings, only to find that there's two more that they don't remember. The camera zooms into one of the time rings, and in the reflections of the ring we see clips of old Dragon Ball GT in the light of the ring. The camera then pans to the next time ring, and zooms in as the show transitions to a shot of the Earth. Universe 7 is as it currently is at the beginning of GT. Goku and Uber fighting in the time chamber, the Pilaf gang are scaling the side of the lookout, only this time they fall off the side of the Heavenly Realm and don't make it to the top. Just as a nice comedic throwback to the start of Dragon Ball GT. It makes you worry, and then it instantly saves you with a safety net. Oh good, Goku's not going to be turned into a child this time. Vegeta flies up to the lookout and waits for Goku and Oob to emerge, having sensed that they were nearby. Having finished their training, Vegeta tells Goku that it's taken a long time, but Kaba has finally got in contact with Vegeta, and he's actually going to meet the Universe 6 Saiyan King for them to say thank you for fighting to protect them during the Tournament of Power. Vegeta wants to know if Goku wants to come along and learn a little bit more about their Saiyan heritage. But of course this is interrupted by Goku laughing at Vegeta's mustache, and Vegeta gets annoyed. Because it's not Dragon Ball if it doesn't have comedy in it, and again it's being self-aware of the fact that a lot of people didn't like Vegeta's initial GT design. Goku can go with Vegeta now because Oob's just graduated as Goku's first student, and they have a reason to go to Universe 6. During this time, Goku could briefly visit everybody at Capsule Corp and his family before they go, and they can have some heartwarming moments sort of reconnecting Goku back with his family, etc. And this is where you could have Vegeta go and shave off his mustache, again, very comedically having been insulted by Goku. It's the first episode after all, and everybody knows what's coming after this, so when you've got that sort of looming presence, you're quite capable of being able to make some fun filler. Well, it's not exactly filler in this instance, some slice of life moments. Maybe Bulma has created a universe-traversing spaceship in this time, or perhaps Whis takes them. I don't know, you could do whatever the hell you want with that instance. On this excursion to Universe 6, Goku and Vegeta discuss the differences of their history with the Universe 6 Saiyans, with Kaba, Caulifla, Kale, and of course the King all being present. And of course if Whis took them, then Whis can be present as well. Explaining that they used to share a planet with the Tuffles before they turned on them and killed them all, renaming the planet Vegeta in their victory. This leads the Universe 6 Saiyans to state that the Tuffles are actually still alive in their universe, and Vegeta, being the reformed character he's been shown to be in both the anime and manga, protecting the Namekians from Moro, etc., fighting to bring back Universe 6. He decides that he wants to see what the race would have become had his race not destroyed them in Universe 7. When they visit the Tuffles, everything's great, everyone's being friendly and getting on. And then Caulifla, who's gone with them of course, as Kaba and everybody else will have done, reveals that these guys murdered all the Tuffles in their universe. Because let's face it, that's totally in her character to do. So the Tuffles pretend not to be alarmed, but they actually activate one of their strong scientific bio-android projects, codenamed Baby, to follow them around and keep an eye on them during their travels around the planet, just to be on the safe side. At this point in the story, there'd be no reason for Baby to be hostile, there would be absolutely nothing to spark a fight or anything, it is literally just as a way to get that introduced. After their visit, Goku gets impatient waiting for the transport back to Sadala and uses instant transmission to take them all there. And before the Tuffles have a chance to deactivate Baby, he follows them to Sadala. You could fit in some awesome cutaways here where, once they return to Sadala, Goku and Vegeta fight Kaba and Caulifla in a tag match for a bit of fun, just as a spar, and Kaba and Caulifla show their power growth over the years since the Tournament of Power. And this can be where Baby gets the idea of their initial strength that he's dealing with. After this, Vegeta and Goku head back to Universe 7 and Baby follows them. Upon arriving in Universe 7, Baby scans and discovers that there are no Tuffles left in this universe, and it freaks his circuits out. After this freak out, he just sort of lays there dormant for ages in shock, reading power levels and it's still working, but he's just sat in a daze for months, just slumped on the floor. Unnoticed, of course, because otherwise that would spoil it. Maybe he retreats to a hole or something and just sits there stewing over all of this. And then you get Vegeta curious to see how strong Uber's become after training with Goku, so Goku suggests that they have a sparring match between them. When Vegeta and Oob start fighting, because of all of this corrupt circuitry that's gone in Baby's sensors, his sensors have been damaged, and the power readings that he's detecting, he starts believing that the humans are Tuffles. He springs into action. Baby starts trying to find a body that he can use to fight the remaining Saiyans in order to protect what he believes are his people. And the more information he gathers from the people's bodies that he invades, the more insane he becomes. And there you have the first arc set up for Super Dragon Ball GT. It's Dragon Ball GT, but with the properties intact of the events of Super. If you like this idea and you want me to continue how GT would look after Super, let me know in the comments below. I had a lot of fun with this idea and I'd actually love to continue it, so remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, comment down below your thoughts, and just remember to subscribe for more Dragon Ball content in future. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Until we meet again, bye!